Gen X, your money is being hunted. And I don't mean just by the scammers and fraudsters. No, I'm also talking about the normal, everyday systems that we all live inside. Because Gen X is in a precarious financial season. We're not necessarily rich, but many of us finally have something we've built and something worth protecting. And that makes us valuable, not just as workers, not just as consumers, but as GDP boosters. And we've finally reached the stage of life where we've accumulated something, some savings, some home equity, a retirement account, maybe a paid-off vehicle, and suddenly everybody wants a piece of it. And you're only kidding yourself if you don't know that. So today we're talking about how Gen X's money is being drained through the normal systems that have learned how to reach into our paycheck, our home equity, our retirement accounts, even our sense of obligation. Because Gen X can't save the world economy by being a sacrificial lamb. And we're also talking about how to opt out by building a wall around the money that you've worked so hard to earn, invest, and protect. So let's talk about how we get that target off our back. Now here's why this matters. The U.S. economy, well, it runs on consumer spending. In early 2026, consumer spending made up almost 68% of the entire U.S. economy. That means the system doesn't just prefer that you keep spending. It depends on it. And when an economy depends on people constantly buying and upgrading, financing, replacing, renovating, traveling, and consuming, it gets very good at making all of that feel normal. And when the economy needs spending, well, it follows the money, and it knows exactly where it is. And that's where Gen X comes in. According to recent consumer research, Gen X is not some little forgotten generation, sitting in a corner. One report put Gen X's global buying power at more than $15 trillion in 2025. And it's projected to grow even more over the next decade, and far surpassing every other generation. So don't think that marketers, lenders, healthcare companies, insurance, financial companies, even family obligations, and yes, scammers too. Don't think that they're not looking at us, because they are. Because everyone is competing for the same dollars. So let's look at the 7 big ways that bullseye shows up. Number 1 is they make constant spending feel normal. This is where subscription creep and convenience pricing and lifestyle inflation all blend together. It's the $4.99 here, the $12.99 there, the $19.99 over there. We notice a $500 purchase, but we don't always notice the 14 little recurring charges that are nibbling away at us every month. Just think back just a few years. Remember how we all came to hate the big, huge cable bill because it had just gotten humongous. So we kicked it to the curb. But now we're still spending the same or maybe even more on entertainment, but just in smaller chunks. The companies also figured out that buy once, well, that's not nearly as profitable as pay forever. And every subscription should have to earn its place in your life. Then there's convenience pricing. This is the economy charging you and exploiting your human nature. We love shortcuts. We like easy clicks. No waiting in line. Heck, maybe not even getting out of bed. And more companies, they're finding their own ways to add in convenience pricing. And it's outright absurd. That concert ticket has fees because you bought it online. Well, there's hardly any other way to do it. Today, unlike, the way we did it when we were 20, you want to pay your utility bill online, and there's that processing/convenience fee. You're the one doing all the work. There's even a convenience fee for purchasing your movie tickets online. And you're actually going to the theater, you can just wait and buy them then. Instead of ordering food delivery, just go pick it up at the drive-thru. I'm not saying that we should never pay for convenience, but convenience is a business model now. And the system says, here, push this button, we'll make it easier for you. Number 2 is they make upgrades feel necessary and basic. I mean, have you ever noticed how we've been convinced that every upgrade is just basic life now? Take 4 family-size vehicles from different eras and look at the size difference. I created this graphic just to show how normal has grown. And before somebody says that, a 2-door car is not a family car, well, it was in our family. We had a 1974 Oldsmobile Cutlass. The point is this: the baseline has moved. We used to barely justify spending money at McDonald's. Now fast food has evolved into, Olive Garden and Outback on a Tuesday night. International travel used to be a once-in-a-lifetime dream for many middle-class families. Now it's common enough that some people do it multiple times a year. And that is how lifestyle normalization works. Marketing turns wants into standard expectations. You deserve this. You earned this. Everybody else has it. We only live once. Treat yourself. We just have to stay aware that a rich life can be felt by spending a whole lot less. And that's one way of cutting through all the noise. Ask yourself, would this have felt like a luxury when you were growing up? And if the answer is yes, then maybe it just deserves a little more thought today. That core question can save people thousands. Okay, the third way they have a bullseye on Gen X is that they turn everything into a payment. Because it seems like everything now can be financed or paid in full. Because financing, it lowers the emotional pain of spending. A $1,200 phone becomes only $33 a month. A $2,500 dental bill becomes no interest if paid within 12 months. A $50,000 vehicle becomes manageable because the payment got stretched out so far to make it feel affordable. And that is how wealth leaks out of the middle class. Because before you know it, your paycheck is already spoken for long before you earn it. And every payment is just a little piece of that paycheck that already belongs to someone else. Okay, number 4 is they make the rules too complicated. And I'm talking about insurance, taxes, healthcare, retirement account fees. And here's the thing about complexity. It usually benefits the side that understands the rules better. Just think about insurance. And let's be real, not everything is worth insuring. Some insurance protects you from disaster, and that matters. Those can protect you from financial ruin. But some of these little insurance add-ons, they're mostly selling fear. Now, what about the complexity of healthcare? Healthcare can drain wealth faster than bad shopping habits ever could. With healthcare, you can do everything right and still get hit with a bill that you didn't see coming. For many of us, healthcare needs its own line item in the budget. Taxes, they're another complexity trap. Taxes they're not just about tax rates. They're about rules. The system doesn't always have to raise the taxes to take more from you. Sometimes the rules are so complicated that ordinary people, they overpay, they miss deductions, trigger penalties, or become afraid to make smart, proactive moves. And then there are retirement account fees. A 1% fee, well, that doesn't sound like much. But over decades, those fees, they compound against you. If your money earns 7%, but fees take 1%, you're not just losing that 1%. You're losing part of your compounding engine year after year. So the point here is not that you need to become a CPA, a medical billing specialist, or an insurance expert, or even a financial planner. The point here is that complexity is very expensive if you ignore it. You need to know enough to ask the right questions. You need to know what you are paying, why you're paying it, and whether it's actually helping you. Okay, number 5 is they turn Gen X into the backup plan. And this one is personal for a lot of people. Caregiving and adult child financial rescue, well, those are two different situations, but they come from the same place. And when official systems fail, families have to absorb the shock. And very often, Gen X becomes the shock absorber. Facilities are expensive. Home care is expensive. So the burden shifts to the family. And because it's family, people hesitate to call it what it really is: labor. It may be loving labor. It may be necessary labor. It may be the right thing to do. But it's still labor. And if we do not name the cost, we cannot manage the cost. Gen X is not just the sandwich generation. We've become the support beam generation. We are holding up parents and kids, workplaces, relationships, households, and sometimes people who made no plan and now expect us to become the plan. Adult child financial rescue has its own version of this. You want to help. You want to give your kids a better shot. You want to keep them from drowning, and that's understandable. But here's the problem. Gen X often has less pension security and less Social Security certainty than previous generations. And we're dealing with this difficult world too. But we're still expected to behave like the old family safety net, because money can only go one place at a time. And if it's constantly going to rescue everyone else, it may not be going toward your retirement, your emergency fund, your health care, your debt repayment. Love can be generous, but love still needs boundaries. Are we an endless source of money? Number 6 is they haven't forgotten about the house you own. For many middle-class people, the house is the biggest asset they have. And it may not feel like wealth because you're just living in it every day. You're paying taxes on it, you're maintaining it, fixing everything that breaks in it. But to lenders and financial companies, scammers, sometimes even family members, that home equity looks like a big pile of money sitting there. So here come the pitches. Use your home equity, tap into it. Consider a reverse mortgage. And I'm not here to try to make all of those things feel like a villain, because sometimes using your home's value makes sense. But home equity is not this magic bucket of money. For a lot of Gen Xers, it's the last major financial cushion that they have. It represents years of payments and sacrifice and time. And once you borrow against it, your stability becomes somebody else's payment stream. And that's why the question isn't just, can I access this money? The question is, am I using this asset to protect my future? Or am I turning my future into collateral? Because the target is not just on your paycheck. It's on the stability that you've already built. Now, the seventh way that Gen X has a target on their backs is that they also sell fear and urgency. And this includes fear-induced financial products and outright scammers. And no, those two aren't the same thing legally, but they often use the same doorway. Fear, urgency, pressure, even confusion. And some financial products may be legitimate in the right situation. Some people may benefit from certain types of insurance, annuities, alternatives like gold or crypto. That's not the issue. The issue is when the idea starts with fear. And Gen X is vulnerable to this because we've lived through enough bad things to know that they really do happen. We've seen people work hard and still get blindsided. So no, we're not paranoid for being cautious. Caution is wisdom. But fear makes us vulnerable to anyone selling guarantees. And then there are the actual scams. They know Gen X and older adults may have assets and a deep concern for family. So they use urgency and emotion. It may be a fake bank alert or an IRS threat. What about a fake emergency involving someone in your family? And Gen X is routinely busy, often tired, and tired people click things, and tired people react fast. Busy people, they skim instead of investigate. Busy people think, let me just handle this real quick. And that is what scammers exploit. And that is why the rule is simple. If something makes you feel rushed, or pressured, scared, or embarrassed, then just stop. Don't click the link. Don't call the number that's in the text. Don't move any money. Don't buy any gift cards. Don't give anyone a code. Go directly to the official website. Call the number that's on the back of your card. Or log into your account the way you normally would. Because urgency, that's the weapon. But pause, that's the shield. Okay, so how do we build the wall of resistance? Just always remember how the modern economy works and how much of it wants you to spend money. Marketers need you to spend. Lenders need you to borrow. Subscription companies need you to subscribe. So how do we opt out? We opt out by becoming harder to reach, harder to pressure and confuse, and harder to guilt. Start by auditing the leaks and slow down. If they're rushing you, that's information. Protect the nest egg. Watch the fees. Be careful with home equity and put boundaries around family obligations. And finally, pause when fear shows up. Now, Gen X, we've worked too hard to hand over our stability without a fight. So protect your money, conserve your energy, protect that nest egg. And for once, let the system be disappointed. Because this time, we're opting out. We're not gonna take it. No, we ain't gonna take it. We're not gonna take it anymore. And this twisted sister is signing off. But wait, did you know that the Hard Rock Cafe is Gen X too? They were born in 1971. I just thought that was kind of cool. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.